ranked number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay!
So we look at what's going on. This is an extreme aggression. I'm also hearing about it from everywhere. It's in the islands, it's on the continent, it's here, it's everywhere. And this is, if you will, a war, an all-out assault by...
The Sly Fox Cyclops, we locked in the idiot box. The video slots, broadcasting Waco, Davidian plots. They own YouTube, MySpace. When this ignorant shit gon' stop? They monopolize the news, your views, and the channel you choose. Propaganda, visual cancer, the eye in the sky, number 5 on the dial. Secret agenda, frequency antenna, Dr. Mindbender. Remote control, soul controller, your brain holder, slave culture, game's over. What's a Fox characteristic? Slick shit, censored, misinformation, pimp the station, overstimulation. Reception, deception, Comcast, digital Satan. The fox has a bushy tail, and bush tails lies in fox trots. So I don't know what's real. Watch what you watching. Fox keeps feeding us toxins. Stop sleeping, start thinking outside of the box and unplug from the matrix doctrine. But watch what you say, big brother is watching. Watch what you watching. Fox keeps feeding us toxins. Stop sleeping, start thinking outside.
Welcome to the Black Pack here on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm your host, Adrianne Shropshire. Happy Friday. We made it to another Friday, and next week is August. Like, I don't even know where this year has gone. But what I do know is that we have a great show for you today. And Nas maybe sort of set the stage for it, which is we're going to talk about a few things. And it, you know, I feel like we've had guests on in the past and shows that raise issues for us that help us not only understand what's happening in the moment, but also help us understand what is to come, right? They bring us conversations that maybe help us peer a little bit into the future. So when it begins to unfold, hopefully when it begins to unfold, we can all be like, yeah, that's right. I know actually exactly what's happening because we talked about that already. And that's true with the guests that we have today. So we're going to kick off the show revisiting a story that we talked about a few months ago. And it is in the news now, and that is the elimination of public resources for public media. So you all might recall that last week, the Republicans in Congress passed a rescission bill, essentially a bill to rescind or take away spending that Congress had already appropriated. The rescission bill canceled $9 billion in funding for foreign aid and for public broadcasting. $8 billion was slated for funding through USAID, which this administration has basically completely eliminated, but some of that funding included funding for global health programs. When the bill finally got to the Senate, they were able to get some of the funding for global health programs, including global AIDS programs, back in, or to make sure that it didn't; those dollars didn't get eliminated. But they eliminated $8 billion that was supposed to go for foreign aid through USAID, and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which funds both NPR and PBS, will lose $1 billion in funding, $1 billion. And the impacts were felt immediately, including an announcement about laying off staff who helped to produce the PBS series American Experience. And that includes pausing the production of new documentaries. So you all know the American Experience documentaries. I know everyone has seen them. They trace American history, many award-winning documentaries that sort of help us understand American history and how America is the America that it is today. Many of you might know Stanley Nelson, the award-winning documentary filmmaker who has produced documentaries like Attica, like the Black Panthers, like the Freedom Riders, like the Black Press, Soldiers Without Swords. Stanley said about what we saw last week, he said, these cuts are especially devastating considering the current state of affairs in this country, when the preservation and teaching of American history is more needed and more threatened than ever before. And that is exactly right. We see the teaching and telling of our stories coming under attack in so many different places and so many different ways, from museums to school curriculum to the banning of books, all of the things that you all know. And now the people who tell our stories through documentary filmmaking and other forms of public media are now being defunded. So later in this hour, we'll be joined by Leslie Fields Cruz, the executive director of Black Public Media. Once again, we'll be joined. You all might remember we started this conversation with Leslie. We'll also be joined later by Joseph Torres from Free Press to discuss the dismantling of our public media platforms. Another issue that is also not going away, and in fact, the fights around it are just getting started, is one that we shouldn't even actually be squabbling over right now, and that is the issue of redistricting. This is supposed to be an every 10-year fight, but because the Trump administration knows that they are in trouble with the midterm elections next year, they are asking states like Texas to redraw or to draw new congressional maps this year. To make more Republican districts. I guess the theory being that is that if you can't win, you just rig the system to give you the outcome that you want to have. Blue state governors have responded from California to Illinois and are reminding Republicans that if red states attempt to draw Democrats out of power in D.C., that they too have the ability to do the same thing in their states and redraw lines in blue states that will reduce the number of Republican congressional members. Now, it's not quite that easy in a state like California where there's an independent redistricting commission, but we still find ourselves in a game of political chicken as we head into the 2026 midterm election season. So we'll talk about that in the 5 o'clock hour and what the implications are with Rebecca Carruthers, president and CEO of the Fair Election Center, and Russia Chavez Cardenas, the deputy director of California Common Cause. But when we come forward, we're going to focus on this issue of the defunding of public media. And we're going to be joined by Leslie Fields Cruz, executive director of Black Public Media, to discuss the defunding of public media and the impact in particular on our community and media makers. This is Adrianne Shropshire. You are listening to the Black Pack here on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay with us. We have a lot to talk about.
You're part of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's.
The Parkinson's Foundation knows that the disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them.
If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers.
We can help you understand the disease
and give you tips for living a better life.
Find your answers at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
You don't talk to me like that. You don't talk to your mommy like that.
Unlike your mama, we can handle your black talk on the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire.
You are listening to the Black Pack, and we are joined now by Leslie Fields Cruz. Welcome back, Leslie.
Hi, Adrienne. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hopeful that at some point we'll be able to get on here and talk about good news. But I think both the last time and this time, we're talking about the kind of existential threat that funding cuts pose to public media. It is, when we think about the rescission bill last week, it's not just some random funding cut, right? There are real implications for both our community, right? For our public media in general, for the creators, the folks who are making the media that we consume. Can you talk just a little bit about what all of this means for public media and Black public media in particular?
Sure. So your listening audience understands the rescission bill that happened was clawing back funding that was that Congress approved 2 years ago, right? So it's $1.1 billion for fiscal years or for 2026 and 2027. This money was already approved, right? So they've taken it back. They've rescinded it. Now, consider the fact that Black public media, along with several public media stations around the country, have relationships with the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. We're supported by them. And so we are expecting this money, and we're building budgets and creating programs for the future, right? Looking forward for the future. Right. And so, what you're talking about is come October 1st, which is when that fiscal year starts, that funding is not going to be there, right? And we are, 2 months out, 3 months out? Yes. And so it is causing many of the public media stations to make a pivot from staffing as well as in the programming. And for Black public media, we're making the same pivots as well. It's going to impact our ability to fund as many projects as we have in the past. It's going to impact the production of our series, Afropop, The Ultimate Cultural Exchange. So it has these these impacts directly on the organizations. But then when we're talking about the impacts to our communities, some people, I think here in Los Angeles, PBS SoCal, you can access it, you can watch it. It's there for emergency alert systems. But we have a whole lot of other things in an urban area, right? But in rural communities where they don't even have broadband, all they have are the radio waves, right? What we're talking about is they're being cut off from that emergency response system. Right, because those stations don't have large budgets. About 50% or more of their budget is coming from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And we need to remind ourselves and remember that there are many Black people who live in rural communities.
Yes.
And so this is going to impact them as well. And then you talk about, let's move on over to what I like to say, the Sesame Street and all the pre-K and the educational curriculum that is developed and available for free.
For free
for our
is
educators.
the key there. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right, and for our parents. And we know that they have, they pulled down some of the curriculum already.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because these are cuts that were made at the Department of Education that are also affecting public media.
Right.
And so there are some of the public media stations who are making a pivot. They are looking at, okay, how can we continue to serve the public, continue to serve our communities? But they have to make difficult decisions. And in many cases, some of that is going to, like I mentioned before, affect the programming, the content that is representative of the communities in which we live. And that to me is of real concern, because authenticity and well-researched programs are important to helping us understand who we are, helping us to understand how do we address certain issues, legislation that's impacting our communities. If we don't have that information, how do we fight it?
Right.
How do we fight it?
Yeah.
So
I think that's part of the point, right? I mean, you said so much there, which the thing about some of the educational programming being there and being there for free, you don't have to pay for a subscription. Right, to watch Sesame Street, right? You don't have to pay for a subscription to get some of the, kind of profound documentary, historical documentary films that are out there. It's just there for all of us to be able to access, and that goes away, right? If the money goes away, that goes away as well. I'm wondering about what you're hearing from and how the filmmakers are feeling, right? How are those who are producing the media that we all consume for cultural reasons, for educational reasons? What is the feeling right now among those filmmakers?
I think some of the feedback that we've received from the independent filmmakers that we work with, there's big concern. First of all, especially for those that we have already funded, they're like, can I get my money?
Right.
Right. And the good thing is that their contracts are under a different contract that we have, so that money is there, and we will pay that money out as they provide us with their deliverables.
And Leslie, let me just make the distinction, because when you said that, it made so there are folks who are in the middle of projects. Right now, we're making films that they may not be able to finish. So I understand that you're saying you all will be if their money's there, but I think broadly that's part of the people are in the middle of projects that they may not be able to fund, and then now we're not even talking about future projects, right?
Right, we're not even talking about the future projects, and bear in mind that the funding that public media provides to the independent filmmakers, it's some of these budgets, the independent filmmakers, they have budgets. They're not like, some of them are not multi-million-dollar budgets, but they're $500,000, $1 million, $3 million, $5 million. That's a big budget for an producer, right? It costs money, and so we're providing them with a small portion of that, but then they are using that to leverage private funding and individual donors to come in and support that work so that they can create it, and then it's accessible to the public for free for a certain number of years, and the producers own the copyright. So those that are in the middle of production, and especially those that we know of, some of our makers who we have funded and had projects approved at the National Endowment for the Humanities, and now that funding has been terminated. So here they are in the midst of production, and now they are stuck. And that also means that the people that are working on those productions are not getting paid. Right. So it creates a ripple effect.
The economic
impact.
They're going out.
The economic impact. And these makers, independent producers are extremely savvy hustlers, and they will probably find ways they will to get their programs done, but it will also expand the timeline. If they had that project slated to be finished in 2026, it's probably not going to get done until 2027, 2028, or 2029, right? And that's if they find the money. And for projects that Black Public Media funds, not all of those projects are projects that commercial investors are going to be interested in, because some of these projects are not necessarily going to make a big return, right? These are projects that are slated to help educate and inform the populace, right? And that is their value. These are stories that future historians will go back and watch these films and for research and gather more information. It's something, these are documentaries that might inspire new stories from future filmmakers. And that's another concern. We're talking about cutting off funding for the future filmmakers, the future documentary filmmakers out there.
Well, there's also this question of, so that's the challenge with the folks who are in the middle of projects that have, ideas in the hopper that they plan to do. I think that what you just said about, making it much more difficult for future creators to be able to make their films. And then I've been having this conversation with Marcia Smith at Firelight Media about what distribution will look like for folks when you think about the archives that filmmakers have, and particularly if the distribution rights for these films are owned by someone else, right? Are held by PBS or whoever. This sort of like the inability for us to access even the films that already exist, because there won't be any place for filmmakers to be able to distribute their work. Your thoughts on that? Because I feel like it's both the future stuff, but it's also the existing stuff that gets 86'd or whatever.
Well, I as I said earlier, the public media stations like PBS SoCal, they're going to continue to program content. So if the content is out there and it's available, they will access it. Whether or not they can pay for it, top dollar, I don't know. But there will be content that there is. Let's see. Let me back up. Distribution for public media, the content can still be distributed through public media. However, I also think that makers are considering, well, if it's not, or can I identify maybe a commercial streamer and a public media partner to get this work out? And we're calling it now the Sesame Street model, right? Because Netflix is picked up production for the future of Sesame Street, but also to make sure that those new episodes are available on public television. So that is a model that I think independents are exploring, and frankly, it's a model that we're looking at for our Afropop series.
And are there other? That's actually fascinating. So, are there other kinds of partnerships and collaborations? I know that you wrote about it recently, but how do sort of supporting, all of the people, right, who are creating the work that we all know and love and need. What kinds of partnerships should people be looking to, and how how do we make sure, to your point, that there is an opportunity for the next generation of media makers?
I think that we need to start looking at partnerships that will preserve some form of free access to content, right? And that's public media. So wherever the independent producer is, and you have friends at the public media station, you should reach out to them, you should talk to them, and figure out, okay, what are the rights? What are the windows? What's the screening window opportunity here if I decide I'm going to also put it on a commercial streamer? And I also would ask anybody who's working in the commercial media side of things to consider, be flexible in working with these independent producers in providing that public media window. I think that might be where we land over the next few years as we manage, as we go through this defunding of public media. And let me just say that it's not over until it's over.
Mm-hmm.
They are, I know that they are working to try to get some of the money put back into the current fiscal year 26 budget appropriations.
Right.
We won't know what's going to happen with that until September when everybody comes back from Congress.
Right.
But so it's not over until it's over.
An important point, right? So because I think that people feel like, okay, we just had that big, horrible, terrible bill, and so then that's it, right? But that's actually not it. We're going to come back to a budget and spending bill conversation in September, and a lot of Republicans who, and you made this point earlier, a lot of Republicans who represent rural communities and just voted for the rescission bill are also now like, well, hey, wait a minute now. Right, the stations that cover rural communities are going to shut down. Right, they're not going to be there, and so they want to fix also for their constituents.
Right. And so it is important for all of us to continue to email, write, call our congressmen, our senators, and now you tell them, listen, you need to make sure that there is funding for public television in the upcoming appropriation. You know, I know you rescinded it, but there's money, and you need to put some of that back. And I would also add, you should let them know that they would want to make sure independent makers. There's ITVS and Black Public Media. We're part of the National Multicultural Alliance, that we're included in that as well.
Right, because they will certainly try to make sure that that is not the case. Well, Leslie, I want to thank you for once again and for joining me and breaking this all down. And I am hopeful that one day we will talk about a new era of Black public media and filmmaking, even if it is subversive, right? Because I do feel like that is in many ways the history of how we've gotten these films made and how we've gotten them distributed into our communities, is because we just figured out how to get it done. And so I want to thank you. I think this is just a huge issue, and hopefully folks will support public media and make sure that our filmmakers and other creators have what they need. So thanks for joining me. On the other side, we're going to continue this conversation about the attacks on public media with Joseph Torres from Free Press. Stay with us.
More of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is pushing back on the Department of Justice lawsuit over New York City's sanctuary policies.
We should not harm innocent migrants and asylum seekers and undocumented people in the city.
He says he supports protecting migrants, but wants the city council to reconsider parts of the law, especially when it comes to violent offenders. A fifth woman is accusing Smokey Robinson of sexual battery, according to TMZ. The 85-year-old Motown legend is already facing a $50 million lawsuit from 4 women. His attorney says more claims are no surprise and part of being a celebrity. And the Department of Justice is launching a strike force to investigate Obama-era officials over the 2016 election. The White House accuses Obama of trying to sabotage President Trump, while Obama's team calls the claims outrageous and a distraction. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Stall in Mid-City on the 10, eastbound past Fairfax. Second lane from the right is blocked due to a stuck truck. Big delays out of Santa Monica getting away from Centinela. A crash in Commerce on the 5 southbound before Washington. It's out of lanes now, but traffic is a big mess out of Burbank away from Alameda. Let's also check out South LA with a wreck on the 110 northbound before Century Boulevard. It's being cleared out of the left lane. The drive loading up away from the 105 freeway and Anaheim Hills. Eastbound side of the 91. Delays begin at Kramer Glassell all the way to Green River.
Rapid radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies, offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off, free UPS shipping, and add code RADIO for an extra 5% off.
Is this the Tiger?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Put USC coach Lincoln Riley at the top of the list for football coaches facing the most pressure this season. USC Nation is expecting a lot from Riley. This is Riley's fourth season at USC, but he has failed to get the Trojans into the college football playoffs. USC hasn't made the playoffs since the NCAA implemented a playoff system in 2014. The Trojans were 6-6 last season, including a 4-5 finish in their first year in the Big Ten Conference. They were 7-5 in 2023. Both of those seasons resulted in low-level bowl wins. The Trojans have only one major bowl victory in the past 16 years, and they have not won a national championship since 2004. USC Nation was expecting Riley to restore the great tradition of USC football when he was hired in 2022 for $10 million a year. So far, Riley has not done that. He may have only one more year to get it done. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay! KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the story of the one.
As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger, who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TAXI for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TAXI for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TAXI.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Let's get back to more of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
Is Adrianne Shropshire, your host, and you are listening to the Black Pack. We are now joined by Joseph Torres, Senior Advisor for Reparative Policy and Programs at Free Press, and also the co-author of News for All People, The Epic Story of Race and American Media. Welcome, Joseph. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
So we've been talking about just in the earlier part of the hour, we were talking with Leslie Fields Cruz, the executive director of Black Public Media, about the impact of the Republican Congress essentially canceling funding through this terrible rescission bill last week that ended funding for, or took away $1 billion, $1.1 billion from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And we talked a little bit about what that meant, the impact on Black communities, the impact on Black creators. But this has kind of been, and when we think about, sometimes we look at these things, or I feel like we look at these things in isolation because they happen in isolation, right? Or it feels like they happen in isolation. But this has really been a kind of a long-standing project of the right in this country, hasn't it? I mean, I think this is maybe the first time that they've been successful in like actually clawing the money back, right? That's been allocated for these programs, but really sort of undermining public media this is not new, right?
Absolutely not. No, they've been trying to claw back. The Public Broadcasting Act was passed in 1967, and during the Nixon administration, they were already trying to defund public media. And the Reagan as well, every Republican administration, except for really Gerald Ford, was trying to claw back, defund public media. So this has been a long-going project, as you said. They were able to successfully do it now, and the thing is, it's I heard a little bit of Leslie previously, and the thing is, the contradiction in all this, the struggle in all this is that while we, of course, support public media, we want it to thrive. Meanwhile, our communities at the same time are always trying to, at the same time, have public media be more responsive in funding our projects, in airing our programs. And so we're holding both contradictions at the same time. And it just shows that the original vision of public media, the original goals of public media, that it was supposed to have a more dedicated funding source from the beginning, so we put it on more solid ground. So we don't see what we do now, because public media in this country is really underfunded to begin with, compared to other countries to begin with. So while we're fighting to continue to have something that is not, is actually not good enough yet, it's not good enough in its funding structure and serving our community, we still have to defend it, because it's really hard. Once you claw backwards, using the word, take back the money and undo these social infrastructures, it's really hard to get it back. But at the same time, it's also when we fight to get it back. What is the thing that we need to build in so-called multiracial democracy? That's a multiracial democracy, because we don't. That's always been the duality of these struggles, right?
So yes, and we have the attack on public media. We should be envisioning how we make it better. In this moment, though, we're seeing a really sort of a broad attack on media, though, right? We have public media, the clawing back of the resources, this sort of decades long attempt to end it. But now we have this new thing, which is, institutions, major media companies, sort of capitulating, to Donald Trump and his demands. With, we've seen, whether it's ABC, and others sort of paying out, to sort of end, in many ways, the attacks of him and his administration on their companies. Many people have called it what they're doing extortion, right? But this seems to be also a part of all of this, right? This sort of attack on the institutions, right? The kind of cultural institutions, the sources that produce cultural product, right? This attack on them. What is that about? Because you talked a little. This is a decades-long project of the right. What is all of this really about when we look at it in its totality?
Well, it's really about power. It's a narrative is critically. It's hard to do. It's hard to implement your projects. Even if there's, like the history of anti-Black racism, the history of what we're seeing now, right? You can't, when you dehumanize people, you can actually, with narratives, then you can pass all kind of policies, extractive policies to enact. And so when we've been living in the past 50 or 60 years, where the equal protection of the law under the laws we have access to actually use them in courts and be able to improve the lives of our community, because we didn't have that right after Reconstruction was taken back. And so now this past 60 years, this project to try to perfect or try to create a multiracial democracy, and the forces have been trying to undo that. And media is critically important. Media and culture is critically important to advance a political agenda. So that's why going after all these media companies who, again, it's not like our communities are actually happy with all the things that these companies do as well, right? But when you're going after these institutions and you're going after universities, right? And this whole, this chairman of the SEC, Brendan Carr, who's the only government official during the first Trump administration, the only public official, right, to write a chapter in Project 2025. Right, and so he's been going after DEI. DEI really, just the whole thing going after DEI really is about like criminalizing the presence of Black and brown people, basically. That their presence represents something illegal or not obtained honestly. So they're equating with that in order to undermine equal protection laws, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is that's why you have, because the late great Stuart Hall, who was a great cultural theorist from Britain and Jamaican born, talks about like meaning. Those who in power are trying to show like meaning is fixed, and because they're always trying to guarantee through culture that meaning is fixed, but the challenge is meaning is always changing and meaning is not fixed. So there's always this contesting of meaning that's happening, and so for Trump and his administration, if you want to also enact a right-wing authoritarian government, the places that shape meaning, which culture does, and these institutions does, you have to gain control over them.
Yeah, well, it's shape meaning and understanding of those around you. Right, which it feels like is it when we think about the attacks on public media and what we have gained and what we have gotten from public media. I mean, when we even think about something like Sesame Street, right, and how important that was, right, when it first came on the air, and showing this little community of diverse, characters and people, right, and what that meant. It was a reflection back of who we are as a society, and there are those clearly who do not want that reflection of society, and that's why we are seeing some of the attacks. I have so many questions for you that we will get to, but when we come forward, we'll get to those questions with Joseph Torres. This is the Black Pack here on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay with us.
You're part of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You don't talk to me like that. Don't talk to me
Unlike your mama, we can handle your black talk on the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire.
We are continuing our conversation with Joseph Torres, Senior Advisor for Reparative Policy and Programs at Free Press. Joseph, you mentioned as when we were talking about the FCC, about the Federal Communications Commission, and I know that you recently wrote an article talking about the Commission's history of structural racism. So I wanted to just give you a second to talk a little bit more about the role of the FCC in the kind of mess that we
yeah absolutely. So the idea is like I work on a project called Media 2070 within my organization Free Press, and it's a black-led, it's a black-created media reparations project. And so the idea is how do we reconcile the history of anti-black racism in the media when media institutions, powerful media institutions, and policies have always supported the upholding the racial hierarchy. That media within that story of racial hierarchy plays a critical role as we're talking about shaping culture and meaning. So the FCC, the FCC was created in 1934, right? But the origins of commercial broadcasting, which really started to really develop a lot faster during the Woodrow Wilson administration because of World War I and develop the government's investment in radio technology. The person over Woodrow Wilson, first of all, was segregationist, complete racist, but the person who oversaw this, the development of the commercial radio technology as the head of the U.S. Secretary of Navy, was a man named Josephus Daniels, who used to be powerful newspaper publisher in Raleigh, North Carolina, who was responsible with his paper in working with the Democratic Party for the Wilmington coup in 1898 to overthrow a multiracial government in Wilmington, and he called his paper the Militant Voice of White Supremacy, the Raleigh News and Observer, which is still in existence. Then you have Herbert Hoover, who everyone knows Herbert Hoover in the Great Depression, but Herbert Hoover was the head of the Commerce Department, and the Commerce Department in the 1920s was over as commercial radio was beginning. You had the creation of Radio Corporation of America, and radio stations were getting on. It was popular now, getting more and more popular. He was assigning his Commerce Department was responsible for overseeing the assignment of radio licenses. But Hoover, as the head of the Department of Commerce, was also spearing up ahead that resulted in creating racial housing segregation and racial exclusionary zoning. So the first chairman of the FCC was the former was on the Mississippi Supreme Court, in the early 1900s. So the idea is the FCC was created during a period of racial backlash to Reconstruction, and those forces that shaped the creation of commercial broadcasting were folks who were shaped by the backlash to Reconstruction. And so, of course, we have the broadcast
who were architects of it even,
And so broadcast stations with the segregationists, and the government knew that, who were using the airwaves, again, to undermine the 14th Amendment rights and basic constitutional rights of black folks and other marginalized communities. So that's what the current FCC is still very much, it's built off that foundation. And so that's the point that we have to reckon with, how these institutions, how they were shaped by, by segregation and segregation policies. All these agencies, a lot of them were created during a time period where the public interest rights of black folks didn't even have to be considered, because the promise of the Reconstruction Amendment were wiped away until the 1960s. And we haven't redressed that, and this is why this is why you see it in ownership numbers when it comes to ownership of radio and television stations and all this, and at the time, black folks were very much trying to become radio operators and radio stations. Black newspaper Detroit was saying in 1927, we can't let white man's radio be our voice. We have to create our own black radio station. So it was awareness even back in the 1920s of the power of this media and the need to have the community's voice in it. But when we haven't redressed this history, and so that's the point with the FCC. And so when the Chairman Carr He just reverting the agency back to the day where it once was.
Right.
And so to the day where segregation and segregational policies was very much, it was just the norm.
Well, this
and so.
Yeah, I mean, this is a thing. I want to thank you. This is such important history that you are laying out, because it really does begin to tie into not only what we're seeing in terms of the attacks on media and on public media, but on any a number of other areas, right? In our government and our society. We talked last week about the sort of on our show about the kind of resegregation of public education, and that history that you just laid out is so helpful, because it is sort of the core of this idea of Make America Great Again, right? It really is taking it all back, to the era that you're describing.
Exactly. We haven't redressed this history, and we talk about this history is like these past 60 years or something. Like we were heading to something, like the whole arc of the universe is along the bends towards justice, and and other folks would say it bends to those who pull the hardest. And with the rise of neoliberal capitalism and policies for lack of massive media consolidation, starting with the Reagan administration and then 1990s Clinton administration and these massive companies. And so, we're talking about what these companies are doing now with Sky, the capitulation. Yeah. But when you have like Les Moonves in 2016 during Trump's first run say that Donald Trump may not be good for America, but he's good for CBS. What is he really saying?
Right.
He's saying that that despite how racist he is, capital trumps everyday people's the conditions of everyday people, and that these institutions are not really here to serve our health and information needs. Right. The bottom line, and it shows like they're very comfortable. As you see all this capitulation with putting the bottom line first over the needs of people, and so this is why we have to redress. We need a media system in our country, because these are our airways. These are our public property, and how to reclaim them to actually serve the health and well-being of our communities.
Yes, that's right. I think this is so critical. All of what you just laid out, the history was really important, and then also just understanding the role that these different entities play in shaping how our media, does or does not serve us. So I want to thank you so much, Joseph, for joining us. Joseph Torres from Free Press. Just really critical as we think about where all of this is headed, and also what we can do, right? So I think that's the other point that we always need to keep in the front. When we come forward, we're going to jump into this conversation about redistricting. Stay with us.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has no plans to propose a property tax hike to help close this year's budget gap, despite a projected $1.2 billion deficit in 2026.
Well, I will not be proposing a property tax increase in my budget. I'm going to continue to work hard to find progressive revenue.
Last year, he pitched a $300 million increase, but the city council unanimously shot it down.